Hi, I'm John Hood. I'm the author of a series of historical fantasy novels called The Folklore Cycle. The first book of the series was entitled Mountain Folk, and it came out last year. The second book in the series is Forest Folk, and it's about to be published. This is the ninth in a series of videos we've prepared to give you an advance look at the world of forest folk. Just as the first book in the series, Mountain Folk, was largely set during the Revolutionary War, much of Forest Folk takes place during the War of 1812. This often overlooked conflict did much to forge the American nation. For many of us, the most enduring images from the war are the British burning the nation's capital in 1814 and the American flag flying over Baltimore's Fort McHenry, the site that inspired Francis Scott Key to write The Star-Spangled Banner. The most consequential events of the War of 1812, however, occurred in frontier areas far away from the settled cities of America's East Coast. And in many cases, there were few, if any, British redcoats in the vicinity. I'm speaking to you from the banks of the Coosa River, which flows from Georgia deep into Alabama, where it merges with the Tallapoosa River near Montgomery to form the Alabama River. It was on these rivers and their tributaries that American forces battled British Allied Creeks during 1813 and 1814. Although this conflict is sometimes called the Creek War, I think that's a misnomer for two reasons. First, it was truly part of the larger War of 1812 between America and its allies and Britain and its allies. And second, the creeks weren't all on one side. There were dozens of separate communities and many thousands of individual creeks with differing views on how best to protect their way of life in the face of America's rapid growth. Out of these differences arose two factions within the Creek Confederation. The war faction believed the only real answer was to reject any more treaties with the Americans and instead to wage war in alliance with Britain and the northern tribes led by Tecumseh. They became known as the Red Sticks because they used distinctly colored clubs to signify and coordinate their war plans. The other faction, called the White Sticks, believed the best path forward was to adopt farming practices, legal contracts, and other potentially useful ideas from the Americans while retaining their most important Creek traditions. The White Sticks saw war as an unpromising strategy, in part because they expected their rival tribes, such as the Cherokees and the Choctaws, to ally with the United States against the Creeks. And they were right. One of the central characters of Forest Folk is Junaluska, a Cherokee who fights alongside Andrew Jackson's army during the resulting war. We know for certain that Junaluska was among the hundreds of Cherokees, Choctaws, and White Stick Creeks at the decisive Battle of Horseshoe Bend on March 27, 1814. In fact, Junaluska helped win the battle by leading a daring raid across the Tallapoosa River to steal the canoes of the Red Sticks, thus cutting off their escape route. Horseshoe Bend takes up an entire chapter of my novel, and it features not just the exploits of Junaluska, but also the heroics of a young Sam Houston, who played an important role in that battle and who suffered for the rest of his life from the grievous wounds that he sustained there. I don't have as much historical evidence for placing Junaluska at earlier engagements in the campaign, such as the battles of Tallahatchie and Talladega, not far from where I'm standing. But he could have been present to fight alongside another character from Forest Folk, the legendary Davy Crockett. Do you want to learn more about the world of Forest Folk? Well, there are two ways you can do that. One of them is to go to the Folklore Cycle channel at YouTube and watch all the other videos. The other way to do it is to visit the website for the book, which you will find at forestfolkbook.com. While there, you can learn how to order the book as a paperback, as a digital download, or as an audiobook. See you soon.